gosh. Okay. So fabulous. So hello everyone and welcome to today's Living with Blau Voices from the Community webinar. I'm Erica Howell, Executive Director of the Blau Syndrome Foundation, and I'm so glad each of you have joined us. This series is about elevating the voices of people living with Blau syndrome because their stories are powerful and they're essential in shaping our awareness of what Blau syndrome is, encouraging research, and increasing community support. So today we are honored to hear from Lauren Ennis, who will share her journey of navigating higher education and building a career in public health while living with Blau syndrome. Lauren's story highlights the resilience, advocacy, and strength it takes to live with a rare autoinflammatory disease. So before we launch into it, I'm just going to set up some webinar norms. I try to do this each time. We have a smaller group today. Typically, we have smaller webinar groups that are live, and then we post a recording onto our website. And so that's where a lot of individuals who are at work, at school, some type of activity for the day can go back and watch the recording. I'm going to have everyone remain muted during the presentation, and this is just to admit to make sure that we can take care of some of the background noise like dogs barking and stuff like that. If you'd like to ask a question, you can use the chat box throughout the presentation. So I'll be monitoring it, and at the end, we'll share your questions with Lauren during the Q&A. But the good news is when we have our smaller groups in the webinar, you're also welcome to raise your hand during the Q&A, and then that way I can just unmute you and we can ask our questions live to Lauren. And with it's a small group, I can just unmute everybody anyway, so we can like have more of a dialogue. As noted, today's session is going to be recorded, and I'll share that afterwards for anyone who wants to rewatch or if you want to share it. And as mentioned, a lot of people come back and watch the recordings posted to the website. And then obviously this is a safe and supportive space, so we always want to keep our chat respectful and encouraging. So I am thrilled to turn it over to Lauren today. She's going to walk us through her experiences. She's going to share what it's like to navigate school, health, disability, mental health, and access to these spaces, and how she found strength during these struggles. Lauren, okay, to kick it off, can you give us a little bit of an intro about who you are, your educational background, and what you're studying? Because I know that's going to be very relevant as we move forward in our discussion.
Hi, so thank you, Erica. I'm Lauren. I am a graduate student. I'm currently enrolled in the City University of New York School of Public Health. My concentration is in health policy and management. I was diagnosed with Blau officially at 11 years old, but my mom noticed that there was something happening at 6 months, which is, the marker for a lot of the patients. And my childhood was with my specific case of Blau, I have a lot of eye involvement. So I do have, I'm pretty profoundly visually impaired. I'm in a weird in between where I'm not legally blind. I could actually still drive during the day, but at night I cannot anymore. And there's a lot of things I'm starting to realize that I need to find alternative ways. I was talking about this with Erica earlier that when I was first diagnosed with Blau, that there wasn't anything on the internet really about it. And it was very rare to find a doctor that actually knew something about it. So it was a very lonely, time as a disabled person. So I grew up having this like weird adventure that I felt like I couldn't relate to a lot of people. So that made me sort of get interested in humanity in general. I'm like, okay, well, how can I relate? And that brought me into just, loving to talk to people. I study sociology as my undergrad, so I have a general curiosity of how people function in general. And as Blau started to get more traction with like other families coming forward and posting about their experiences on the internet, I was able to be a part of this community that I never thought was possible. So yeah, that's a little about me, and I have a lot of different points that are like popping in my head that I like to bring up. So let's get started. Ooh, Erica, I don't think I can hear you. I don't know if you're muted.
Yeah. Thanks. Share with us about your early journey with Blau syndrome and then up to this point, because I know it can be such a spectrum of impact for patients. And I think we'd love to know how Blau syndrome has impacted you and what that has looked like with your symptomatology in addition to treatment.
Okay. I remember there was this home video that my mom, I'm originally from the Bronx and we lived in New York City, which was really convenient for someone with a rare disease to have access to some of the best doctors in the world. I feel like that was a huge thing for me, and that's why I would consider a very successful journey. But I remember there was a video of me running around. I don't think I had any clothes on. I was a very tiny girl. I was like maybe 2 or 3, and my mom's like, "Oh, my baby has eczema," and what she's really looking at is the granulomas that are on my skin. Because at the time it was just eczema. That's the first thing she noticed was the skin. But then, and my story is interesting. I like to tell people again that this is the 90s we're in, so maybe a lot of this stuff wouldn't have happened now. But a lot of the things that were brought up were a lot more developmental. I was diagnosed with autism when I was young, and they weren't sure how severe it would be. I went to an early intervention school, and when I was able to, I had a lot of speech issues. And then when I was able to get those issues under control and communicate, I was able to communicate that I was in physical pain. And they were like, "Oh, that's different. Like, what is going on here?" So then my care shifted because I wasn't having any more issues when it comes to like care, when it comes to communication, but I was having issues with my knees, at the time, my wrists were a really big deal. I remember that I had like the puffball situation that you had mentioned, and my eyes. I was having a lot of issues with seeing. And I was able to get my mom. I'm recalling a lot of information that my mom has brought out because she was like my main caretaker and she was a rock star. Like, I really had the best mom. And she brought me to any specialist that she thought was relevant. There was a lot of specialists who didn't really they couldn't clearly define what was going on. So a lot of times they were very dismissive, unfortunately. And then some people were like, "Oh, I think I know what's going on, but I'm not the Dr. C." It was constantly just being passed to another doctor. But eventually I was able to find a childhood ophthalmologist who didn't know what was going on, but knew that, okay, I was getting scarring on my retina. That was where my issues were coming from. So we can at least treat it. And at the time, the only main ways to treat it were prednisone. So it was like oral prednisone and it was topical. So I pretty much stayed under this one ophthalmologist. His name is Brian Completero. His care for, I want to say, until we moved upstate. So then around 6 or 7, when I was 6 or 7, we moved to um, upstate New York, Wappingers Falls. And I things started to, it was weird because I would have periods of calming down, and then I would have periods of a flare up. And at the time, I was able to find a pediatric rheumatologist, Dr. Chow, and she said, "I don't think you have sarcoidosis, which was I was originally diagnosed with. I think you have something called Blau syndrome." This is the first time I heard of it. We were like, I remember mom like saying, "Is that better or worse?"
Yeah.
And my doctor being like, I don't actually know." There was a lot of like unknown. She's like, "I think it could be a little worse, but it also depends on the situation, like so your own case." So we're like, okay. And we did the genetic testing at the time to confirm. I don't know what my mutation is yet. I'm looking into getting that figured out. But at the time they were able to confirm that it was Blau syndrome. And and a lot of it is a blur because I'm like now about like 10 or 11. And the first big biologics like Humira and Remicade were available. And from what I remember, and at the time, they said, "Okay, we're going to try this medication called Remicade because that looked the most promising." But there was a big discrepancy because no one at the time had used Remicade for Blau syndrome, but then we were arguing, well, how many people have Blau? It's like, like, this is something, it was considered experimental at the time. So there was a lot of approvals that needed to happen. And I eventually was able to get started, and I went to Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital in Westchester. And every 6 weeks, I would get an infusion for about 3 years. And I, even now, looking back, that was probably the healthiest I was with my symptom management. My Blau really calmed down. I responded very well. There was no active inflammation in my eyes, joints. Really, I honestly haven't had any joint problem, like major joint problems since then, which is, I know how lucky that is. I was able to do sports. I was able to do soccer. Obviously, like intramural, I wasn't good enough to do like varsity or like junior varsity or whatever. But like I was able to do a lot of things that I had been cautioned against for a while, just because we didn't know what could or could happen. And so that was a really good time in my life. And it was right when I was in middle school. So it was nice that I had a little bit of a break health-wise, because middle school is already as hard as you can imagine with just like all the social stuff. And then with routine blood work, we found out the Remicade stopped being good for me because I developed lupus antibodies. And at the time, the only other option was Humira, which it worked for me. It did well, and I literally just got off of Humira like 2 weeks ago. Um,
Wow.
so it's like what I was,
From middle school to now.
yeah. To now, I'm gonna be 32 in November, so it really did a lot for me. It wasn't as effective as Remicade, but it was something I'm very thankful for. And I remember learning, it was very interesting to me as a public health professional to look at the history of Humira and like how big of a deal it was back then, that we found this new class of medication that can help a lot of these people. And now to see like, because that went over my head as a kid. I couldn't respect that, which is fine. And I remember also, even though I have this really rare diagnosis, there was other people in my life that were taking Humira. So that was a way I was able to bond with them. I was like, okay, like I had a family member that had Crohn's disease that took it. I'm like, okay, like, there is a little bit of a similarity here. I'm not completely alone. But yeah, it was very I had to, really find other ways to um what's it called? Like relate to people. And that ended up being a good thing. But yeah, it was a very isolating experience, and I didn't realize how much it infected me until, I was an adult and I was able to process and be like, oh, that was not ideal.
Right. And so until age 10 or 11, you had not seen a rheumatologist. You were just being treated by ophthalmology.
Pretty, from what I remember, I could be wrong. Honestly, I need to get my mom in here a lot of times, but there was a number of doctors that I went to that because at one point we just didn't know what was going on, so anything that sounded relevant we went to. But yeah, it was primarily ophthalmology because we were really afraid, and it's still a fear that I was gonna get a flare that was really bad that would just cause most of my vision to go away.
Right.
And through the retina and optic nerve are probably the worst ways to get any type of vision impairment, because there isn't a lot that they can do once you have that damage. So that was primarily where my center of care was at. And then it wasn't until I don't remember seeing a rheumatologist consistently. Oh, wait, actually, no. It's so funny I bring up. There was one rheumatologist I went to when I was younger, but she was and acting more of as like a medication manager. So,
Mhm.
and that's how my current rheumatologist acts too. I see Dr. Saxena at NYU, who is awesome, but he kind of acts as like the person that looks at all my medications and says, okay, what makes sense, what doesn't here? Because the ophthalmologist can only do so much, like and like even the very, very specialized ophthalmologist I see, my current ophthalmologist, he works mostly with people with autoimmune disorders. So he has that education, but he wants someone who has the more formal like practice and licensing to make those calls for me when it comes to my medication. So yeah, my experience was mostly eye involvement. And I know that's from what and it was so funny because I learned with Blau that the eye involvement is a thing, but it's not as common. Most people experience other systemic issues and mobility issues, and it's I didn't expect to when I would meet people that all of our experiences would be so different from each other too. So
Yeah, I know. It is interesting because with Blau, their estimate is about 70 to 80% of patients do experience the eye involvement, that's like definitely a high target area for the disease. And then I
yeah,
think you nailed it on the head that it's a systemic disease. And so we see this symptomatology that's really like across a spectrum of how it impacts individuals. And it's not just the skin, the eyes, and the joints. And we hear about that and we keep seeing that in the literature. And I think there's an important distinction to make that this is systemic and it can be infiltrated throughout the tissues and there's kidney involvement and vascular issues. And so I think it is interesting to hear your experiences where your eye involvement was like your key symptom. And it sounds like your school involvement still gave you room for extracurricular and lots of fun and ways that you really able were to thrive as a student. And I love hearing that because I think you made a really just kind of astute point that you were managing these symptoms and at the same time you had a really great experience being involved in the sports you were doing. And
yeah,
I think that's a really great message for parents of little ones who are new diagnosed, or maybe individuals themselves who are kind of wondering, like, what's this going to look like for me as I go through school? Can you share a bit right now about where your vision stands? You shared a little bit, but can you go a little bit more in depth?
yeah. So I like to I'm quoting my doctor. So my doctor has a few patients now that have Blau, and from what I've seen, he says that I probably have one of the worst outcomes, and when it comes to sight. So I don't want people to hear my situation get scared because I can still drive during the day, but it's a matter of my left eye is very impacted. And it has always been. There's a big quadrant of vision that I just don't see from in my left eye, and the overall quality is weaker than my right eye, which is considered my good eye. I think some people might notice too, and I don't mind bringing this up, that I do have swelling in my left eye. That's we don't think this is actually from Blau. We think this is a complication from a treatment that sometimes you get steroid injections,
Mhm.
and there is a very small chance that you can develop complications, and we think that is where the swelling over time happened. But the swelling of itself didn't cause any of the issues with my left eye. My left eye, from what I remember and what I know, had always been a lot worse because the scarring just got a lot worse on here. There was, I guess, before they realized that I had anything with my eyes going on, the scarring just developed a lot more in my left eye than my right eye. I'm in the weird like the blindness is in spectrum, and I would say I have like 55-60% of the vision of a normal person. So I can do a lot of things that sighted people do, but I do have that knowledge that what my limitations are. I have developed a blind spot in my right eye, which is my good eye, that um is we do think is from Blau and just from a flare up. But at the same time, what I did to cope with all of that is one, you have to manage stress because stress will 1,000% make your symptoms worse with this. I found out that a lot of my flare-ups would happen during like highly stressful times in my life.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a big thing. And another thing is I would connect with other people who were visually impaired or blind through other ways and realize that like they're still doing awesome stuff, and it's not that, their blindness does impact them negatively, like when there's no denying that, but it doesn't stop them from having full lives, from finding a partner, to having a family, to having a great career. And just knowing that that possibility is out there makes me less scared if my eyesight was to continue to get worse, because that is very likely.
Yeah.
With my eye involvement, I don't think it's a typical Blau experience, but it's something you have to always just be mindful of. Definitely see an ophthalmologist at least once a year. I see mine at least 4 times a year.
Mm.
And make sure you find someone that you can trust and someone who validates and really really wants to know what you're experiencing instead of like them telling you, oh, this is what's happening. Like a good doctor should be asking you what you're seeing. So, yeah.
I'm interested in your school experiences. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced? And it might be helpful to talk about different time frames because obviously, attending elementary school to high school to college, it's going to be very variable about your experiences. And what were some of the challenges that you encountered? And what were accommodations and strategies that you used to address those challenges?
Definitely. So I feel like my background is a little important and it's funny. It's so I was born in 93. My mom is an Italian immigrant. My parents are both from the Bronx, so it's very like tough love, very like figure it out, girl. That's the attitude of my house. But my at the same time my mom was a very fierce advocate for me. My mom was very someone who if I needed something, she figured it out and she was very resourceful. And, she was also very much a people person. So I learned how to interact people with her through her. The accommodations at the time, that kind of led my family to move up here because there was issues back in the day in the 90s where I had to get eye drops every hour and none of the schools wanted to do that. They were like, absolutely not. Like things you would never imagine would fly now were
Mm.
happening to me. They were like, yeah, we're not dealing that. Like that's not a us problem, that's a you problem. And my mom went to a few private schools. I was at one of the public schools in the area. There was also issues with the structural layout of the school. So in the school I was supposed to go to, I remember there was a PE on the fifth floor. There was no elevator, so someone with joint problems going up to the fifth floor was already like a huge deal. And I remember at the time my mom was trying to get like, oh, get you out of physical education or do a different version of it. And at
Mm.
the time it was just, no, we don't want to do it. So, we moved upstate, which there was a multitude of reasons, but that was one of the main things. And this public school that I went to was a lot more, it was smaller than that school I was working with, and it was a lot more accommodating. So, a lot of times my accommodations were actually like I would sit up in the front in school, because my vision wasn't the best. And I also would do other adaptive PE. So I would do regular PE with the kids. So it would usually just be like playing kickball, things like that. And then, but also I would work on balance, I would work on flexibility, I would work on just trying to, oh, this is another thing that I need to mention, but with the prednisone, gained a lot of weight. And obviously I still struggle with my weight to this day. So there was a lot of, trying to get extra exercise in to just try to lose weight or just manage that. But I think it was all about just asking what could be best for me. And then also letting, I think the thing that helped me is that people never told me, oh, you can't do this. This is absolutely something you can't do. But if I needed to tap out, I was able to tap out. So like I know one thing I would usually tap out of is like if in school, like especially if you're middle school, they have you run a mile, which is a test. I had an accommodation to not do that because girl, that hurt. It's not gonna happen. But at the same time, the attitude of my family and the attitude of the people around me, even though like I feel like they could have been better about it at sometimes, it really worked in my favor that they wanted me to just try doing things anyway. And if you really can't do it, we'll figure it out, but we want you to just, you know, go through it, see if you can do it. And that led me to do a lot of things that, I'm really grateful for. And also with my school, we had a lot of like, even though it was a small public school, like we had a really great music program. I think learning violin as a kid was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it was an activity I got to put myself in, but it wasn't super physically strenuous for me. So it was like something like a great thing that I was able to like really have. And yeah, and then I think the other thing that started to become more of an issue or a combination I needed later on is in like college, early college to now, the one thing I usually need is like notes that are able to be put in like a digital format so I can see, and also just extended deadlines sometimes for certain things. So like more flexibility with handing things in, or more of a heads up if we're going to like take a test or things like that. But it ends up not being something that comes up too much. As you're an adult, you're able to manage your schedule a little bit more, so it's easier. It's just more of like a, I want the professor to know I have this going on. And I could not need any help and I could need a lot of help, but I just want you to have an open mind is essentially what exactly I look for now in my higher education. So yeah, I feel like I'm also a big proponent though, and I used to get really bad at this. If you're qualified for any type of help at school, take it. Anything you can get access to, definitely use it. Don't be afraid for asking for help, because I feel like I kind of was, especially in high school. I could have gotten a lot more accommodations than I didn't, because I was like, oh, I'm fine. I don't need extra time on my test. Where it's like, yeah, I could have used that actually. So definitely, um, yeah, whatever you feel like could potentially help you, think about it and ask. The worst that can happen is they'll say no. But
Yeah.
most of the time, people won't. I feel like most of the time, people want to help and they want to try to figure out something.
Yeah. And I think that that's such a great point. And sometimes I don't think patients are even aware of what is available to them within the school system. And I know this is specifically speaking to the United States, but we have federal laws that do protect, our rights as individuals with disability. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to qualify for an IEP, but we have 504s that will take into account patients that do have health considerations. And so we're not asking for something that we shouldn't have. We're asking something that's for something that's federally protected. And these are actually accommodations that can help level the playing field for people with Blau syndrome. So when those accommodations are needed, I just love that message of don't be afraid to ask or don't be embarrassed, but feel empowered that this is an awesome resource support tool, federally supported, that can help level the playing field and help you have more success in what you're pursuing. So, I love that idea of understanding what accommodations are available for you. And in the United States, I do think most school systems are happy to provide those. And a lot of times the accommodations our patients need are things that I think are not too difficult to provide. But you talked about extended time. There might be reduction in workload for patients that have fatigue issues or having like a high level of treatment and symptoms related to that, or flare-ups. And so anyway, there is a lot. And even you addressing how you had accommodations in PE, right? And we have patients that can be excused to PE up until high school. This is again in the United States. If that's something that again isn't successful for them. And I love how you also highlight the impact of extracurriculars. And we were Lauren and I were talking about this in kind of like our pre-meeting, but just I would love for you to expand on this a little bit more, but to be to be mindful of how you identify with Blau syndrome. Can you dive into that a little bit more?
Yeah, so and I'm a very open person, so I know sometimes when I say certain things about myself, people are kind of like, "Oh my God, you're saying that?" Yeah, I'm saying it. So it's like, so for a long time, Blau was like the what I thought was the most interesting thing about me, and I mean, it makes sense at the time because especially with me, there is a belief that, and there still is, again, I don't know what my exact condition, my mutation is, but we believe that my mutation is novel. So it's like, there might not be another person that has the same situation as I do. But, I was going to doctors and like this was the main thing about me. So for a long time, I didn't feel at least I had much an identity after that. But then I started developing, like, as you get older, there's other things you like. Like, I consider myself to be a very loud and funny person. And so that's another thing people would know about me, like, oh, is she loud and funny? Okay. And then I grew up, my dad did worked in the music industry, so I developed a love for music, and I was able to pick up on violin when I was what, in fourth grade, so 2004. And I was able to, I took that all the way up to college. And it was something that really was, became a big part of me. I really loved music. And I always loved singing too, so I would be in choir sometimes. I just love to be out, doing things like that. And then another thing I'm proud about too is that my mom is an Italian immigrant and I have a lot of friends from all over the world because in New York there's a lot of immigrants in the area, so I got to learn all about new cultures. I have friends from that were all different religions, and getting to have that experience and knowledge was something that was really like positively impacting for me too. And then, even though I had my physical challenges, I loved playing outside with my neighbors who were like some of my best friends growing up. I did intramural soccer. And I got to have like a jersey. I thought it was the coolest thing ever because I was like, oh, I'm on a sports team. And I did cheerleading back too. I loved cheerleading. And I definitely just did whatever I could and whatever my parents could set up for me too. And I started to realize there was other things about me that had nothing to do with being disabled. And I think if anything, being disabled was just an interest, put me in an interesting perspective to view life. And I know that, like I was said before, I didn't really start having other disabled friends, close friends, until college. And the two people I'm thinking of in particular both have autoimmune issues that are a lot more rare, a lot more common than mine. And but realizing that we had a like there was we had so much more in common besides this struggle. And a lot of when I talk to both of them, we don't really ever talk about our health issues. Like sometimes we will because we lean on each other, but most of the time we're just talking about other things. Then I also realized like growing up, like too, that when I was graduating high school and in college, I realized I was queer, I was bisexual, and I got really involved in, different advocacy groups in college, and it just became something like really profound. And I started to realize that Blau was always going to be there. He was always going to be like a spectator in my life, but it wasn't like the person that it wasn't the one thing. I always like refer to Blau as a person sometimes. It's like, oh, but it wasn't the main thing about me. If anything, now when I look at my entire life, it wouldn't be the first thing that I bring up. And it's a balance because I feel like sometimes people use it to define themselves, but I also feel like sometimes don't give it enough respect in their lives and they're like, "Oh, I'm not letting my disability define me." Where it's like, "No, I mean it does have a profound impact on you." So I feel like I try to have a balanced look at it that yeah, it has caused a lot of pain in my life, but it's also caused me to learn a lot of things that I wouldn't have learned otherwise. And I might as well not have to deal with it no matter what, so I might as well make the best of it. So that's how I try to look at it. I try to, you know, move past the whole Blau being so rare, being such this weird disease, and I try to be like, okay, yeah, but there's other things to me too. I'd still be very much the same person if I didn't have this, thing that I'm going through.
Mhm. Yeah. I love it. I think that's such an encouraging message. And I know there's patients in various stages of how they're dealing with this disease, where some that, feel like they've had it very managed and have a higher quality of life, and others that feel really impacted. But I think there's like wisdom in what you said for everybody. And it's really encouraging to find those things you love and find those things you're passionate about and those hobbies and those things that really define you and build into those, even kind of admits struggling or feeling not having a lot of quality of life. So I think that's really important to hear from you because you are someone who's had large impact from the disease at various stages. So I think that you can speak to this with insight and with a lot of experience. So I know for me as a parent, and I have a daughter that is very impacted right now, and so it's very difficult to have quality of life for her. And I think we've seen over the past couple of years, this has become more of an identity for her because she feels like she can't escape it every day because quality of life has become so poor. Where previously that wasn't what we experienced at all. So I think it's just a good reminder that wherever you are to kind of keep building into those things that you love and those other identifiers about you. And don't let this become something that is such a strong identity, because I think then so much of your attention is turned toward symptoms and how you feel. But obviously, speaking for other individuals, that's hard to do. It's interesting because it's such a spectrum of how people are experiencing Blau and how their quality of life is and what their daily management skills are like. So this is why I just love these forums. It's so amazing to hear from patients on the ground and their experiences. It's educational for other patients who are like, I totally relate with that. And other patients who are like, oh, I have a really different experience. And then for us as parents, Lauren, I mean, it's invaluable because for a lot of us parents, where it's a sporadic mutation in our children, we didn't experience Blau, or we weren't in the autoinflammatory world, and we weren't a part of this whole world of doctor's appointments and understanding a disease. And so, really hearing from patients who experience this, that have a voice and are so articulate like you, is really helpful for how we understand this experience for our kids. And then also, how do we shape them and how do we guide them as they experience this as well? So I love that. I love hearing about your life. And I was very similar to Kathleen. The two of you, there's like some parallels here that I'm really loving, but it's this kind of idea of, I am who I am without this. But I love that you guys, I think, have embraced a lot of the ways that it shaped you, and it has, and has impacted how you move through life and how you experience life. And so it was just really cool to hear all of that. Okay, I see a hand raise. Is that you, Lauren?
Oh, is it,
Okay.
did I raise a hand? Wow. Of course I
Okay.
did.
Well, yeah.
See,
Um,
sometimes I like to take off my eyes and yeah, I've kind of learned to I lost my glasses last week because you think like someone who can't see without glasses, you would never take them off. I take them off all the time. I'm like I'm done seeing, but I'm over it. But yeah, no, I'm really glad that I'm able to provide this aspect. And I will say through me getting to, now that I feel like I have a good community of people who are disabled in other ways, um, I feel like in a lot of ways, I have the easier route of having something that I was born with versus something that I acquired later on, or something that got worse later on. Because I feel like while my eye issues were always like are very profound and I do have my flare-ups, I don't remember a point where I ever saw like really normally, where it was like never a factor. Like my left eye was always very impacted. I never knew anything other than that. Um, so there is a grieving process that comes with having that experience of before and after. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't even have the experience because there was never really a before. So I do think people should just be really respect that. And some days you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to get yourself out of bed, and that's fine. Like if you just whatever you need to do to get through the day, um and just survive that day, definitely do it. I have a little bit, I've told you, I have a background with like in my career with like addiction and uh mental health, people with like struggling with mental health too. And there's a concept called harm reduction that I'm a big fan of, where it's like, you're trying to do whatever you can to reduce the harm in your life, but you're not necessarily trying to eradicate something. Like you're not focused on just like quitting something cold turkey or stopping a behavior cold turkey because it's not really realistic on a day to day. So whatever you can to just, feel your feelings and respect that and grieve that, but also just do what you need to do to get through that day. Yeah, I can't imagine what some of the other Blau patients have experienced. Because it's extremely profound too. It's like, I will say as someone who's a Blau child, and I see some of the parents now because I get really like, it makes me happy because you guys are very accommodating of your kids and you very listen to them. And not to say my parents weren't, but they just didn't have the tools that everyone has now. And there wasn't the a lot of we didn't even know what could be done to set up stuff. So there was times in my childhood that I wish that I did get a break. I wish that I was like, not expected to go to school every day, not expected to do this, that I really had to like raise hell sometimes to say, hey, I can't do this because a lot of people weren't, really considering my disability, not because they were being mean, just because they didn't really have like the knowledge. And now I feel like it could be easier in that way for kids to say, hey, I'm going through this, and there's less of a pushback because more people are educated now. So I do, yeah, I do. It's one day at a time from what I can say about my experience. And, if someone with Blau especially is going through a really big flare up or, very a lot of systemic issues, they really need to respect that. And they really need to, let themselves feel what they need to feel. So it's a balancing act for sure. Like you can't just ignore that because that would be crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is. I think as a parent, it is such interesting to hear you say, back in your parents' day, and the fact that there wasn't that education, there weren't resources, there wasn't a community, there wasn't an understanding of what this disease really even is and what does this mean for Lauren's life. And, we're now, I think, the past 5 years or so, we've actually built a really strong community and we have increased so much our understanding of what Blau is. And I can, say on that personal level, it's been so, so helpful to have this community and hear from patients. And then I think really hearing from patients like you, from Kathleen, who did our previous webinar, who've very much experienced a life with Blau, but have a very full life with so much joy. And I think for all of us parents and for that younger generation, I think that's just like a really strong message. So I've loved hearing you articulate that today and how and just kind of getting a snapshot into what your current life is. And I love even hearing you speak with authority. You can hear you're so passionate about public health, and it's been really like fun when you share some of your expertise. And so like I know we should think of future collaborations and how to
Yeah.
really involve some of that more in the blouse space. So I'm going to turn this over now to our Q&A. Before I do that, though, is there any points that you feel like you didn't make that you would love to share?
Definitely. I think we touched on it a little bit, but I think the need, especially for not just Blau patients, but disabled people in general, to really take their mental health seriously and have like mental health care be a part of their care team. Because even if you don't think you're going through something at that moment, you never know what's going to hit you later in life. And something like I know I was telling Erica this before too, but I am diagnosed with CPTSD, and they do think it's because of living with a rare disease. So the C, I believe, stands for chronic. So it's not like you have this one major event that caused, which is how most people understand PTSD. It's just a chronic exposure to this, very terrifying thing. And for me, what was terrifying was feeling like there wasn't a lot of doctors that would even be able to help me. I would, even now, when I had my flare, I had to go to New York City. I'm in Albany right now. I attempted to see a doctor up here, and he just was completely incapacitated with like looking at my eye disorder. And to the point where it's like, it's not that I think that my eye condition is that complicated. It's just that you also realize there's a lot of different types of people, and you never know who you're going to get that day. And unfortunately, I got someone who was not willing to really put into effort to help me. So that knowledge as a kid really impacted me. And it didn't start affecting me until my 20s, where I was like, oh, okay, eventually it'll catch up to you. So definitely just make really like, having mental health be something that's at least on your radar. So, you might not need the support, which is great, but if you do, it'll be really good if you have that all set up because, it's something profound you're going through and you won't know how it affects you until later on. Like it's a lot of times there's a delayed reaction that I feel like people don't anticipate for that I, figured out the hard way.
Right. It's kind of like in the moment you're in survival mode, or we talked about this idea of putting out all of these fires. Like, so
Mhm.
you're so focused on treating the main symptoms that these other these other issues, like let's say mental health, and we were talking about this earlier, kind of get put in the back burner. And
Mhm.
so I just thought that was a really interesting point when you made that. It's almost kind of this idea of whack-a-mole. We only have so many resources and so much energy. And so what are we going to target? What are we going to put our efforts toward? But then you later in life, it sounds like what you experienced is you started to see some of these mental health themes kind of start to rise up from a lot of your experiences. So I thought that was really interesting to hear, and again, something I could see being extremely relevant for a lot of our patients.
Mhm.
Okay, everyone is currently muted, but I believe you should each have the ability to unmute yourselves. Kathleen, will you be my test patient and just unmute yourself and see if that is accurate? And that way
Sure.
it
Can you
works.
hear me?
We sure can.
Hi.
But that being said, we have a small group, so I would just love to have an open question and answer format. So if you have questions for Lauren, go for it.
Who's that? Or if anyone has like any other things they want me to like talk about specifically too, I don't mind yapping.
So, Lauren,
Yes.
how do you see your future? Like, when you look in the future, like, what kind of aspects do you hope to see in your future?
Well, thank you for asking that. I do like that question. It's very complicated. And I think for me with Blau, I'll frame it that way because a lot of times too, when I think about my future, actually Blau isn't something I always think about first. Sometimes I just think about what's going on in the world. So which could be a positive and negative thing, but I think for people that could be a positive thing because Blau is not the ultimate end all be all of my life. But I definitely want to work in the healthcare space as someone who finds a better solution for at least in the United States, for our current healthcare system. I don't have any, you know, things I could say what I think the solution is, but I definitely would like to be a part of the solution. And I feel like Blau patients have a really fluent expertise to develop on the healthcare system as a whole. So I would like to use that knowledge to help with figuring out how we can get people better access to healthcare, figuring out how we can make doctors more equipped to handle more complicated things, getting rid of some of the barriers and bureaucratic issues that go on when it comes to liability, doctors not wanting to see you because they're afraid of, something happening and like, all these things that a patient shouldn't have to be worried about, but they are. Um, and I definitely also I feel like there's a lot of things that I don't feel really limited. I feel like I could travel if I want to. I feel like there's certain things I have to think about that maybe the average person won't have to. Like the other day I was looking at uh different like I was looking at potential study abroad for my grad degree, but there's certain programs in certain countries that you have to be mindful of where you're going because you need a vaccine and can we get this
Mhm.
vaccine, things like that. So yeah, it does come up, but I feel like I'm not really that limited, honestly. And I feel like if I was a parent, that's what I would want to hear. And at the end of the day, we're all living in the same world, so it's like we'll figure it out. But yeah, when it comes to what I want to do specifically, I definitely would like to help with the healthcare system. And also, I am really excited about the breakthroughs we've been having, not just in the Blau space, but in general when it comes to different genetic therapies that are helping different conditions like sickle cell anemia has a really effective therapy that's basically curing people. I know an activist that I really liked growing up. Her name is Claire Wineland, who passed away. She has cystic fibrosis, and within our lifetime, the average life expectancy for people with CF doubled because of a genetic therapy that was developed. And just seeing, and also like I have a really good close friend that is HIV positive, and seeing HIV being downgraded to a chronic illness when it was a fatal illness at one point.
Mhm.
I'm so excited to see all of these breakthroughs, but we need to keep it going. And it's like we need to keep that momentum, and I want to be part of that momentum, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Mm.
So I've kind of a follow-up question. So we've talked somewhat about the negatives of Blau, but do you ever think about who you would be if you didn't have Blau syndrome? And what are the positive aspects of having it?
Yeah, I feel like I always wonder like what I would be, but I feel like, and I'm not the type of person, like I know sometimes we like to romanticize suffering. So I try to find a balance with that because yeah, if I could go back and not have to experience some of the things I did, I would. But at the same time, genuinely, I think Blau really has put a very interesting perspective in my forefront that
Hmm.
I wouldn't have. And I feel like I wouldn't be on this pathway if I didn't have it. So I feel like for me, it has made me a better person. And I can have the duality of being like, yeah, I shouldn't have to experience it, but I'm here. So it's like, might as well do something with it. Um, and I like that, even though our condition is so rare, there's a lot of similarities that we experience. And, I find that it's really not that hard to relate to people. I used to think back in the day, like, oh, no one can relate to me. Like, I have this really rare disease, but now I'm able to have a lot of other disabled friends. And I'm like, oh, we do have a lot in common, even though how we got here is completely different. Um, so yeah, I feel like Blau really just gave me an interesting foresight that I wouldn't have gained otherwise. And especially since someone who is interested in public health as a career, yeah, it definitely helps me profoundly because I feel like I'm able to think of things the average, even like my fellow classmates wouldn't be able to think of. And that's not because I'm smarter than them. It's just because I have that experience, that lived experience that they thankfully didn't have to go through. But it gives me that edge to just know, predict things more, I would say, and figure out what potential solution could be, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Thank you, Kathleen.
I don't have a question because I missed a good part of what you said, Lauren, but I just want to say that just coming in here at the end, you were very inspiring and you're so articulate. And I just love that you are representing the Blau community and also have such a, I think, future ahead of you. It really inspires me and it makes me just happy for my granddaughter, who I know that she can have an amazing future as well. So thank you for stepping out and being who you are.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think the one thing I would want people to take away, because this is something that I did for my own mental health, and this is also something I didn't touch on. I do also have a hearing loss too. I don't think that's Blau related. That's just an infection that went wrong, unfortunately, a swimmer's ear. And I am also like deaf on my left ear. And so I technically am on the deaf blind spectrum, even though I'm, wouldn't consider myself a deaf blind person. And what I did, and that really was very big in my mental health, especially as a musician, because I was like, wow, I thought I could at least lean on music, and I'm not even sure if I can anymore. But then what I did was to, like, I even, I was able to see a whole forum of people who are both deaf and blind at the UN conference I was able to go to. And seeing these people who have this disability from birth or for early adolescence, and seeing the fact that they're able to really do so much with their condition. And, yes, they need a lot of accommodations, and I'm not here to say that their time is easy, but if there's a will, there really is a way. And I feel like, and also at the same time, just because you've never seen something like you before doesn't mean that it can't happen. So like sometimes you just might need to be the first person there. And I feel like a lot of us know what that feels like being in that community. But yeah, no, it's just definitely like it's good. Even if the worst happens, it could still be okay. Finding that duality of like, yeah, it can get ugly sometimes, but it doesn't mean that my life stops.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mm. Well, yeah, I'm very honored to be here. It's a very surreal, a very full circle moment having this like little forum and having this community when I remember, I think, and I know I want to be cognizant of time, but I remember if you guys go on Instagram, I have like a post that I think it's the first post on the Blau Syndrome hashtag that ever existed in Instagram.
Mm.
And it was one of those like, oh, tag 10 people that you think are beautiful and you post a picture and you do the same. And it was one of those things. And I remember just putting in Blau Syndrome because I was like, what if I want to create the hashtag so I can look at it and see if I find others like me. And I couldn't. Yeah, September 22nd, 2014 is when I made this post. And I
Wow.
looked at it and there was no one else. I was the first one
Oh,
that had that.
Oh,
And now there's hundreds of posts and all of
wow.
these people. That is so crazy.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to put that out there, like how much changed in what, 11 years?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would never thought I would have this big of a community now. So thank you all for being like that. Like it's really been what's helped me get through a lot of the stuff I've been through.
Mm.
Oh, that's good to hear. It's a huge benefit. I mean, to hear the seasoned voices, like for you to share today. Obviously, Kathleen's here. She shared before, but I'm always coming from that parent perspective. And it's just such a benefit that we all get to learn from the wisdom that you all have developed throughout the years. And it's honestly, one of the biggest things is the framework that you've developed for how to live with this and not let it be defining, but you're still traveling, you're still loving life, you're still pursuing your passions amidst real symptoms. And as parents, that's just so invaluable and so encouraging. And it's putting out positivity and it's inspiring for us. So just thank you. And Lauren, also thank you today, like just for being so open. It makes it really comfortable to ask any question, to hear about your journey. I feel like this was really educational too, even within the health forum. And that was kind of cool to hear a bit about what you're heading into professionally. So I think there is so much meaning in all of us coming together as a community and sharing our stories. It absolutely increases our education, understanding of what this disease is, how it impacts people. That helps us be better advocates for our treatment plans. But then also that huge part of it is how do you live with this disease in a healthy and thriving way? And I feel like you gave us a lot of good tips and tools and insights for that today. And I love also your point about not romanticizing suffering that does happen. And that's absolutely
Yeah.
part of this process. And I think that just, again, it gives a very realistic viewpoint of what this is like. So really helpful for all of us. So thank you so much. This was awesome. I'm so glad you agreed to this.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. And if anyone wants to talk to me, I'm an open book. If they have questions about, especially if you have eye involvement, because I know that can be like a scary symptom, I'm very open and I'm always here to just listen if anyone needs me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
That's
believe this was recorded. Can we
Yeah.
get on that? When would it be available to listen to in
Yeah,
the
yeah, awesome question. It usually takes me about a week. I have to kind of upload it and format it to the website and do some different steps like that. But when it is up, I'll do a post on social media so that our individuals who missed this today can know that it's now
Yeah,
accessible for them. So yes, so check out social media. That will be like definitely a good way to know that it's up. But it is definitely worth the whole listen. It was pretty neat.
absolutely.
So.
Great.
And then thank you. I love our group that we had here today. I love that it's actually small. It just feels like kind of a little community here today. So that's really great. And for all of you that are, still involved, I'm please continue to get updates. Our social media is the best space, but we have some really cool announcements. I don't like to do a lot of teasers because some stuff you're kind of waiting to see if it works out. But as Lauren had said, right now we have a gene editing study that's going on at UCLA, and it's looking at multiple modes of gene editing. We also have one that Troy and Sherilyn are actually meeting with the scientist in Denmark this month that is going to be starting. That's really exciting. We're meeting on Friday. We've had a few talks with a pharmaceutical company in Denmark about a potential clinical trial. But again, we're vetting that and we're having our medical advisory board has been in on the discussion. That's not something that we want to bring forward to a larger community until we make sure it's something that we think does have you know, chance of success for the Blau community. So that's really exciting. I'm going to be launching, we established a physician's guide to Blau syndrome, and it's quick facts and stats, but it goes over what do we know about the symptom prevalence of Blau syndrome. It talks about what are treatment protocols, what do we need to screen patients for, how do we understand what Blau syndrome is, what are treatment pathways, and it's just kind of a quick, you can hand it to your physician and say, okay, I know you've never treated a patient with Blau syndrome and you don't know what this is. Here you go. Because I know you're not going to attend a conference. I know you're not going to watch a 1-hour webinar, but you can read a 4-page document, and here it is. So we'll be launching that within the next couple of weeks. That's exciting. We will also be hosting a scientific summit in 2026 at University of Colorado, the Anschutz Medical Campus. So stay tuned. But again, we're not launching all that information yet. But as you can see, we have a lot of cool things in the works, and even some more stuff. So there's just a lot of things that we're really trying to launch, and I think that are going to actually make like a real difference for our community. So super excited about all that. So keep checking our social media. That's honestly the best way where we share everything. So, and if anyone wants to get in touch with Lauren, please, you can absolutely email blaufoundation@gmail.com, and we'll get you guys connected. But as you can tell today, she'd just be like a great resource. So no, that's definitely an option.
Thanks, everyone. I'm so happy. I'm so excited for all the developments too. So
Absolutely. Okay, thanks again. Great to have everyone here, and thank you, Lauren.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.